All right, ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, today is another good day the Lord have made. There is no better place to start the day than to start it in the presence of the Lord. So, like I always said, when you wake up in the morning, you are still in good condition. You pass through the whole night without even knowing what is happening. God keep guide, watch over your life, and nothing is wrong with your life. You must give gratitude to God. A lot of people slept last night. Not everyone was able to wake up, right? And God preserve our lives. It's not that we deserve it. We are not better than those people, right? So we have every right. We mustn't take it for granted. Anything that God bless us with, we must always appreciate. So, on that, I would like us to gratify His name, to give Him thanks and praises, and commit what we are going to do today into His hands. He's the one that knows everything. He knows the end from the beginning, right? The Alpha and Omega needs to be honored. And whatever you commit into His hand is in control. He said, His mercies and faithfulness are renewed every morning. Don't allow the mistakes you make yesterday to define the opportunities of today. God is in control. Whatever you were not able to achieve yesterday, God said, forget about that, right? And you look ahead. So that is that. And we humbly ask for His wisdom to guide us through. So, guys, remember, we started revising. We've completed the syllabus, which is a good news. So at this point in time, we are doing extensive revision, right? So we started that last week, and here we are.
Your reassessment, no?
All right.
So the student you must get the full mark, no? Because they were absolutely valid.
Okay, no problem.
It's just these two,
Yeah.
but this one you must mark it down to us. 30
Okay.
or 40%. No?
Okay.
Can you just sign for me? So
All right. But mind you, you're on camera, you're on air, no? Okay, no problem.
okay.
Yeah.
It's Malan, Dave.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the first one also.
Okay.
And then
Gallant. This
that
Gallant.
will be for
Khomeini.
this is the third one.
Here we go. Okay.
There we go. This is for you. I might bring more because I'm doing it per day.
No problem, no
Okay.
problem. Keep up the good work, man. All right. Right. Okay, that was a little bit of distraction, but never mind. It's something that has to be done, right? Okay. I see you already start playing with your phone. Please focus, right? Okay. Now we are going to look into this. This aspect is very important and at the same time very confusing, right? You need to be able to distinguish the pricing strategies, which is part of your marketing mix. You've got a business. For your business to stay competitive or ahead of time, ahead of others, you need to devise some competitive strategies, right? So these are some of the call it pricing strategies. The way you need to price your products or services for you to be able, first of all, to recoup your expenses. You know what I mean by to recoup? To get back the money you invested in your business. So you are not doing business for a fun. Are you doing business for fun? You want to make money. right? For example, if you are a retailer, you know what I mean by being a retailer? You've gone to micro or wherever, you obtaining your product from, you procured your product, and it needs to be sold, right? Will you be happy running around for people without you making profit to enable you put food on the table for you and your family? No, right? A rational human being needs to make profit in doing a business. So you need to know how to do your pricing because it has a function on your business success. If your pricing is good, obviously you can be able, customers will be interested in patronizing your product. So what I'm trying to explain again is, or to put across, if you will, here in this context, is that your pricing strategy depends on the type of business you are doing and it depends on the target market. Obviously, you need to put into consideration your target market. And as well, it depends on the stage of your business. The stage of your business. Right. If you're just starting a new business, for example, and you've invested a lot of money in that business, and that money needs to be paid. It depends on the terms of your loan, right? If it is something that you need to pay off quickly as soon as possible, obviously that is going to affect your pricing strategy, right? So these are the things that you need to consider in order to know the best pricing methods or the best pricing methodology that you need to employ in your business that can make your business to survive, possibly to grow to a certain extent as you desire. Right. Now, here is very interesting. I love it. We started working on this last week. Unfortunately, the bell rang. We couldn't finish it. So this is what we call magic columns. And magic columns, sometimes it could be very dangerous, right? You know what I mean by being dangerous? If you don't know it, you don't know it. There is no two ways about it. And there is no consolation prize, not consolation prize this time around, consolation marks that somebody can give you here. If you miss it, then you get zero on that question you missed. So we got what we call scheming. I like this language. Scheming, scheme, right? Then you got what we call competitive pricing. You got what we call cost plus pricing. Then you have odd pricing, right? Then you have loss leaders pricing, right? Then you have a discount. Here, column A, column B, you have 99% sound like a lot, but less than 100 rand, right? You see, really, in other words, we can call this one psychological pricing. Psychology, it works on your brain. Psychological price. When you look at it, say this is 99. It's not 19 or 19. Some people even call it 19, some 19. 99 is not, it's 100, right? Because once you bring out 100 rand, even if they're going to give you 1 rand, there's nothing you can do with 1 cent. 1 cent, right? It's not even 1 rand, 1 cent. What can you do with it? It's 100, right? It's welcome psychology. For example, this one is a little bit okay. For example, if it is more than if you have something like 10,000, they say 999. You think it's 900, right? It's 1,000. 99, 999, comma 99. It's 1,000. It's not 900 or something. Okay. Then you have dropping the price of a few products or dropping the price of a few popular products. This is another pricing strategy whereby you drop the price of a certain product that you know, people know very well, right? For example, you can use this strategy if you have another product that you know, if they buy that one that the price is low, they will buy, we call it complementary, right? They will buy the other one, the one that goes with it. So you can drop down the price for one, right? The other one, you raise the price up. Once they buy that one, they cannot just leave that one. They must buy the one that goes with it. So from there now you recoup your price. Did you see? So you as a customer, as a business person, you need to know what to do for you to be able to make sure that you remain competitive. Setting a relatively high price or setting a relatively high introductory price, right? Then what it means is when you start your business, if you discover that, for example, you took a loan and that loan need to be paid off on time, right? You can set your price to be high at the beginning, right? For you to recoup your cost. Then later, you start bringing it down. But what I can tell you is this, it's not in every scenario, in every market situation you can do this because it's dangerous, right? Because, of course, it's a new business. If your price is too high, some people, how will you be able to penetrate the market? Right? You can do this in a business that is monopolistic in nature, monopoly. You know what we mean by monopolistic business, monopolistic price business sort? What do you mean by, monopoly? A business is monopolistic. If that business is the only business providing such service, you got no competition. Right? So you can charge that. You can introduce that strategy. Take it or leave it. They must buy. They're gonna buy it. You see, but a business that is competitive, can you try that? You can't try it. You want to recoup the whole money at once, put up the price. People are gonna go for other businesses. They're gonna leave you behind. So it depends on that. So the selling price is determined by calculating the cost plus price and then adding something on top. Right. What it means is that you just work it out how much it costs you to buy the product, your expenses, then just put a little bit of markup for your profit. That is another strategy. Then you got the price is set to just below competitors' price, right? You set it below, that is okay. Now let's look at the concept here because this is where the problem is, right? For you to understand the concept. Skimming, skimming price. Skimming is this where the price you set it very high, right? Setting relatively high introduction or introductory price. That is what we call skimming. Like I said, if a business is competitive or got a lot of competitors, you cannot try it. Right. Let me give you a good example. For as you know, the time of COVID, right? When the new product was the vaccine was introduced, what did they do? They put up a very high price because vaccine for COVID is between life and death. Take it or leave it. Even countries were running helter skelter from pillar to post looking for the vaccine. Even the vaccine was not even there for everyone. Did you see? So that type of stuff, you can raise the price, take it or leave it. If they like, if they want to die of COVID, then they sit back. You see? So you can use that type of pricing strategy. Do you understand what I mean? Right. So in a competitive business environment, you can't use that. If you are the only supplier of such product, you see, you got the whole customer in your palm, right? You can play around with it. Say, I need to recover my cost. So later, then you can bring down the price, right? Okay, that is what we call skimming, right? Do you understand my explanation? Okay. Then competitive pricing, right? So competitive pricing, let's use the okay. The selling price is know that the price is set to adjust below competitors' price, right? The price is set to just below competitors' price, right? That is competitive price. For example, you just starting a business, or let's say you'll be selling something, or you are introducing a new product, right? You've seen how much other people are charging. So for you to be able to get the market, you just look at their price. For example, if it is bread, 99 rand, not 99, bread is, let's say, 15 rand, then you can charge 14 rand, right? It's a competitive price. So that when the customer comes in, shop A is selling it 15 rand, then you are selling it 14 rand. There are certain people that they focus on the price of product or services before they buy. Some other people focus on the quality, right? So those people that are price biased, they always look at the price. They look at where things are cheaper, then they buy from there. So then cost plus, right? Pricing. What you need to do is you first of all calculate how much it's gonna cost. Where is that one? Okay, is this V, right? This is you know what is Roman figures? You know, have you done Roman figures before? Huh? Okay, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This V is 5, right? Okay, the selling price is determined by calculating the cost price. Then you add something on it, right? Then odd pricing. Which one is odd pricing? Odd. Odd pricing. Odd pricing is this one that looks psychological. Psychological pricing. You look at it, you think it's not 100 rand, it's 100 rand, right? Then loss leader. Loss leader. What is loss leader? Right? Dropping the price of a few popular items. Right? So, like I explained to you, then what it means is you drop the price of a certain product, but this one is more or less look like a discount now. Let's look up for the price is set below competitors' price. No, the selling price is the price used to encourage a new product, sell an old product of oak. Okay. Loss leader, you drop the price of a few popular products, right? That is what I said. Because when you drop the price, you must look for another product that you think people will buy, then you increase the price. This thing really happen in a practical sense of it. There are some shops you go there, you look at the price, say, my, this is a very good price, right? Then you think that the prices of goods product there are cheap. How many of you have encountered something of such? You walk into a shop, you look at the price of a product, you know, say, man, this is a good price. You see, you will think that the whole products are the same. That this shop, they are selling, their prices are good. It's like a trap. They are trying to trap you. They know that that product, people know about the prices somewhere else. So they brought down the price. So with that, you could be captivated. You know what I mean by captivated? You could be lured to buy some other stuff from the shop. You say, this shop is, their prices are good. I can buy more. So the more you buy now, the more those people are, they will be able to recoup their prices from that one that is cheap. Do you understand what I'm trying to put across? Right. So when you see a product that is cheap, you know about it. Make sure you buy only that product from the shop and move away. That is what I do. When I want to buy something, I know the price somewhere. I say, okay, here now is cheap. I buy it, I won't buy another product again. But in some instances, the owner of the business will not be selling, will not allow you to buy only that product. Sometimes you know what they do, they combine it. Right? They say when you buy this, you buy the other one. But what I'm trying to say is you must be very careful. Right? You must be very careful. Sometimes when I go out, I see a price that is cheap. I like to crack jokes. I will ask them, say, why is this price like this? Then you start explaining to me. I said, no, it's not like that. You see, there are some, this is kind of a, it's a kind of a trap. You see, the prices of this, unless that product is stale or is getting old, right? You can do that, right? Remember, when you bought some product and it stays so long, staying too much in your stock, what do you do to get rid of it? You discount the price, right? You can discount the price, then you will be able to get rid of it to recover. For example, when you go to some clothing factories or clothing outlet, they're not selling the clothing for winter now. The price is gonna be going down, right? Then they are now stocking in for the next season, which is a summer. You see, so you cannot see the price of a summer clothes now be cheap. It cannot be cheap. But the one for winter, because they know winter is going up, they will bring down the price. So those kind of strategies that you need to embark on. Right. So loss leader prices, that is how it goes. Then discount, right? Discount used to encourage a new product, sell at an old product off, sell an old product off to encourage customer to buy. So you discount. This one is very common. The way they describe it, they're not describing it properly. So how do you give discount? For example, if you got new product, right? You got new stock. Like I said now, like the example I gave just now, a while ago. Winter clothing and summer, right? Now, winter clothing is getting out of season now, right? Then the new ones that you are getting now are summer. So what you gonna do to winter clothes? You discount the price. You bring it down so that you get rid of it. Does it make sense to you? But at the wake of winter, you know what I mean by wake? Hello, she's sleeping. Oh man, why are you sleeping? Sit properly, appropriately, then sit like a student in a class. So at the beginning of winter, you remember the winter clothes were very expensive, right? So if you want to buy clothes now for winter for next year, I will advise you to go and buy now. You get it cheap compared to at the beginning of winter because things gonna be up. So that is how it goes. You discount the prices for the old stock so that you can give way for the new stock. Are you getting what I'm saying? Do you understand? Is it boring? But you must know these things are very important, right? Remember, I've sent this into you. First step. Haven't I sent this into you? Questions and answers. These things are from your textbook. Right. Okay, haven't done that. Let's take another leap. Let's move further. All right. Name three sources of equity and three sources of borrowed capital from your business. Here we are talking about financing a business, right? We've done business finance, how you can be able to secure funds for your business, right? Then we said for equity, we got equity, right? From your money, from the monies from your family or from friends, from contacts, right? Which can constitute equity of from shares. If you are a limited liability companies that is allowed by law to issue shares, to sell shares to potential shareholders for you to raise fund for your business, you can do that. So that constitutes part of equity, right? From your personal savings, one. From your friends, families, contacts, two. Then from shares, raising shares, right? People that buy shares from your business, they become shareholders, owners of the business. So then when you run the business at a certain point in time of the year, you need to do your account, right? Then your income that have been generated, then you need to declare your profit, whatever profit that business have earned over the years. Then there should be a certain part of the profit that needs to be declared as dividend. Dividend. We call it dividend. That is what you set aside from your profit to be paid to the shareholders. All right? And the way dividends is apportioned, divided, they have to look at the number of shares you've got. For example, they can say, let's say when they were selling the shares, perhaps you can have what you could say 50, 100 rand per share, right? Even you can, if you have money, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a millionaire before you can become a shareholder of a company. Do you know that? Right? You can, if you are somebody that is enterprising, you can even use your NSFAS money. You invest it. You know you can do that. You can save from your NSFAS money. You go and buy shares in companies that you know that are doing well. Right? You can have a share 1,000, maybe 1,000 rand or 2,000. So if the share is 100 rand per share, then if it is 1,000, that means you're going to have 100 shares, right? So at the end of the year, whatever dividend that have been declared to be paid to shareholders, they can say, okay, the dividend declared per share now to be paid to shareholder could be perhaps, let's say, 20 rand per share, right? So if you have 100 shares, 20 rand times 100, that is 2,000 rand. That is good, man. Do you understand what I mean? So you mustn't wait till you are millionaires before you become a shareholder buying shares from companies. At this stage, I will encourage you to do that. You know, you relax, you put your money there, and you're gonna get it back. And eventually, if at the end of the day you want to sell your shares, you can still sell it. Some other person that are interested will buy from you. Then you recoup back your money. Right, right. But you must be very careful that you don't put your money in a fly-by-night business. You know, fly-by-night business. eh? They will tell you sweet stuff that you want to hear. There are a lot of businesses these days. They tell you sweet stuff, sugar coated tongue. Say this business is making money. Then you put your money there to get it back would be a problem. There are certain businesses like that. You just have to be very careful, right? Okay. So, and you know, the more returns that is expected in a business, right? You know, when you also invest in a business, if you see a business that got a very high return, you know the risk is very high. You know, the returns on the investment, it goes with the risk. If the risk is small, what I mean by the risk, you, the investors that is going to invest in the business, if you are going, if the risk to you is small, the returns gonna be small as well. Because you just relaxing, then you put money, obviously the money gonna come back to you. That when you see a business that is very risky, that is where you see the high rate, they got a high rate of the return. So you need to weigh in now and do your, depends on you. If you are risk advice, somebody that doesn't want to take risk, you look for businesses that got a small returns. Then you put your money whereby you relax at home without being full with anxiety, right? So if you are somebody that like to take risk, then you see businesses that got a high rate of return, you put money there. If it work out for you, good. If it doesn't work out, you have to take it like that. Right. So we talked about that now. Then, besides equity, you can as well get money to finance your business through borrowed capital, in form of borrowed capital. Right. You approach the banks to give you money. We got different types of loans. Like I said, to finance your business. You got what we call trade credit. Trade credit. What is trade credit? Trade credit is whereby suppliers they give you your stock on credit, then of which you don't have to pay back instantly. Then you depends on the agreement. If it is something that you need to be paying back monthly, right after 30 days, then it can as well help you to take off your business rather than you sitting back or sitting there without stock to sell. If your credit record is good, you can be able to secure that type of deal whereby creditors can give you stock on credit, right? You can use that one for your business to take up. Then you can use what we call short-term loan. You know what is a short-term loan? For example, an overdraft. You know what is an overdraft? You have a current account and you happens to need money, you will be allowed to withdraw more than what you have currently in your account. That is an overdraft. Then you can use a medium-term loan, right? And a long-term loan. So all these loans depends on what you want to use it for, right? For example, if you want to expand your business whereby you need to expend it on capital goods or capital expenditure, right? Which has a long-term maturity. So you don't have to take a short-term loan, like I explained to you the other day. We call it matching maturity, right? For example, if you want to take a loan for a house, you want to buy a house, you go for a bond. A bond have got long-term maturity, right? Mostly you got bond of 20 years, right? You see people that are taking bond, some take it for 20 years. It takes a long time. And the interest rate is high, is low, I mean. The interest rate for long-term loan is low compared to short-term loan, right? If you buy things on credit or you take a short-term loan, perhaps, let's say, overdraft, right? The rate, interest rate for an overdraft, if I'm not mistaken, these days is up to about 22 to 24%. It's very high, you know. So it means when you borrow 1 rand, you have to pay 22 cents as interest or 24 cents. It's a lot. Do you understand what I mean? You can look at it as being minute, being little, but if it comes to a situation whereby you borrow large sum of money, it's a lot. For example, if you borrow 100,000 on a short-term loan, and you are required to pay 24% interest, you know how much is that? It's a lot of money. That means you are going to pay 24,000 rand in addition to that 100,000. Did you see? So, in a situation, imagine whereby you took such a loan to buy equipment, right? Equipment for your business. And before you are able to recoup that one back, it's going to take time. So, you don't need such a loan. So, for example, if you need a bridging finance, you know what we call bridging finance? For example, at the end of the month, you don't have money to pay your workers, right? And you are expecting payment from your debtors. You can quickly take a short-term loan, right? In view that after a few days, then you're gonna be paid. Once you are paid, then you quickly go and pay back. Then based on that, the interest rate that you are going to pay, although it's the same interest rate, but the interest amount will not be too high. Does it make sense to you? Right? These are how to manage finances. You know, some people got money in the business, but they don't know how to manage the finances. And at the end of the day, what happens? It collapses. Even you as an individual, you must know how to manage your finances. You don't go and mortgage yourself buying things of credit before your salary. You know, there are certain people, the day of their salary, they don't sleep, right? They wait. Once the money comes in, quickly they take it out. Because if they don't do it, their creditors, all their accounts, the debit, they got a lot of debit order. The debit order will take their money. What type of life is that? You see, don't buy what you know that you cannot afford. Save money. It's very good to save money to buy something rather than going for credit. Does it make sense to you? Right. All right. Now, are you happy? Okay. Is it, the period is not over now. Why is this thing not moving? Okay, what question is a bank likely to ask you when you apply for a funding for your business? What type of question that the banks is likely to ask you? Right. Obviously, they're gonna ask you how much you need. Right. Is it true of us? Yes, it's true. They will ask you how much you need. Right? They will ask you a very important question. How much do you yourself put in the business? Yourself, how much have you invested in the business? They want to know your level of your percentage of equity. Right. I can give you a simple example of this. I remember those days, I don't know whether I told you this. We had a very good business idea to start freight and logistic business. That is why when I see you guys, I'm always fascinated. I like your career, right? I had wanted to go into that business, freight and logistic, and it was registered. And we had a premises in the port, port. Yeah, had a place there. Then we won a lease to manage the container port from National Port Authority for 10 years, right? When we won the lease, we haven't done freight and logistics before, but with the courage we had, we were very confident that we're gonna be able to pull it off, right? Then we were looking for money to finance it because when you are operating a container port, a container warehouse, it was a kind of a warehouse. You need a crane, crane, right? That is lifting the container. Right. I'm teaching you now part of transport and logistics. One of those cranes that time was 1 million rand to buy a crane. Those crane that is lifting container, right? We needed that because the port, we had the warehouse, but nothing is inside. Then we approached, we were looking for money. Then we approached an investor or a finance company. They call it business partners. You can Google it, business partners. They do finance, then businesses. Then those people requested for a business plan. And you know me from a business school, I know how to draw a very nice business plan. I put the business plan together very well articulated. It was looking very great. Then we submitted it to business plan. When they look at it, they say, wow, where is this business? Huh? That could have a very nice business plan like this. As a graduate of business school, I know how to manipulate. I know what they're going to be looking for. Then I put it down, we submitted. They were in Bevel that time. No, not Bevel, Durban V. I don't know whether they are still there. Then they said, okay, we had an appointment, we arranged an appointment. They said they are coming to see our warehouse, where it is. We must wait for them there. It was myself with my colleagues. We were just two. Now we went there. They came around. They inspected it. The warehouse was big. Nothing was inside. Then they said, how much do you need? We said we needed, that time we said we needed 10 million rand. That was before 2010, right? Long time ago, 2006, thereabout. Then the guy looked at us like this. He said, but this is a good business. But the problem is yourself. From this 10 million rand, how much do you have to put on the table? We say we don't have money. Okay. They noted it down. They say, okay, yourself, have you worked in a logistic company before? I said, no. So what is your career? I said, I'm a QS, I'm a quantity surveyor. Then they asked my colleagues, we were two. What is your career? That guy said, electrical engineer. They say, have you worked in a logistic company before? He said, no. Then the man look at us like this. He said, you see, the problem is this. You don't have money. Nothing of your personal service you're going to put here. If you don't have the skill, you don't have the experience. Guys, listen. The final word that came from the man. He said, you see, our problem is this. If we give you this money, 10 million rand, if your business is not doing well, what you're gonna do, you take your briefcase and jump out of the window. Then we're gonna sit with big problem here. You see? So they say we cannot help you. You see what I mean? So those are the things that are being asked when you are looking for money. So if we had, for example, if we had told that guy, say that 10 million you're talking about, we got 5 million. Oh, you got 5 million. You say, okay. You see, now they know that with that, we got our own investment there. And we must make sure when they give us that additional 5 million, we're going to manage it well because otherwise we're going to lose our money elsewhere. Did you see? Then they will know that we got our own commitment there because they need your own commitment before they can be able to support you. You see? So those are how it is. And that was how it went. And at the end of the day, we were not able to secure funds from business partners. They call it business partners. You know? And we still went as far as looking for another route. We went to KWV. You know KWV? That is making wine. Wine in yeah. So next time I will tell you the full story about that.